The war is no longer contained. What started as a direct conflict between Iran, the United States, and Israel is now spreading across the Middle East. A drone strike has just hit a UK-owned oil facility in Erbil, Iraq, causing a massive explosion. And that changes everything. Because this is no longer just a war between countries. It's becoming a regional crisis. According to reports, a drone slammed into a major oil facility in northern Iraq. Moments later, a huge explosion. This facility is linked to Western interests, making the situation even more sensitive. But here's why this matters. This is Iraq, not Iran, not Israel. So why is Iraq now involved? The bigger war context is, to understand this, we need to go back. On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launched a massive attack on Iran. Hundreds of strikes in just hours. Military bases destroyed. Top Iranian leaders targeted. This operation completely changed the region overnight. Iran responded immediately. Missiles, drones, attacks across multiple countries. This wasn't just retaliation. It was a message. WHIQ is now a target. Now here's where things get complicated. Iraq sits right in the middle of this conflict, and it hosts, via US military bases, via Western oil facilities, but the strategic infrastructure. So when a drone hits an oil facility in Iraq, it could be part of a wider strategy. Iran and its allies have already shown they can strike. What US assets, ban amaraji infrastructure. What US assets, ban amaraji infrastructure, ban key economic targets. In fact, experts say Iran has used drones and missiles across the region to apply pressure. Now the global impact. This is where things get serious, because attacks like this don't just stay local. They affect oil prices. The Middle East controls a huge part of global oil supply. Any disruption turns prices go up. Travel and airspace. Flights across the region are already being disrupted. Global economy. Markets react instantly to instability. In fact, the war has already disrupted trade routes and energy supply chains worldwide. Is the war expanding now in the region? This is the biggest concern right now. Is this turning into a wider war? We are already seeing via strikes in Iran, via attacks in Israel, via explosions in Iraq, via tensions across the Gulf. And new countries are stepping in to try and stop it. But at the same time, more weapons are being deployed, more troops are moving in, more targets are being hit. What leaders are saying? Recent updates show a mixed picture. Some leaders claim the war is nearing completion, while others are calling for peace and diplomacy. Meanwhile, new mediators are trying to step in, but on the ground, the fighting continues. There are now 3 possible outcomes. 1. Escalation. More countries get involved. War spreads further. 2. Stalemate. Ongoing strikes. No clear winner. 3. Ceasefire. Diplomatic breakthrough ends the conflict. But right now, no one knows which path we're heading toward. That drone strike in Iraq might seem like just one incident, but in reality, it could be the sign of something much bigger. Because when war starts crossing borders like this, history shows it rarely stays contained. The situation just got more dangerous. That drone strike in Iraq, it wasn't just an isolated attack. It may have been a signal that this war is entering a completely new phase. Because now the battlefield is expanding and more countries could be pulled in. This is the aftermath of the strike. Following the explosion at the oil facility in Erbil, confusion turned into fear. Emergency teams rushed in. Fires burned through parts of the facility. Production was disrupted. And here's the key issue. This wasn't just infrastructure. It was part of the global energy system. When something like this is hit, the impact goes far beyond Iraq. WHO could be behind it. Right now, no group has officially claimed responsibility. But analysts are already pointing to possibilities. In conflicts like this, attacks are often carried out by regional militias, proxy groups, or forces aligned with larger powers. And that's what makes this situation so complex. Because even if a country doesn't attack directly, it can still influence events through allies. This is what experts call proxy warfare, a hidden layer of conflict that makes everything harder to control. WHY energy targets matter. Let's be clear, this was not a random target. Oil facilities are among the most strategic assets in the world. Why? Because oil powers the economies, the militaries, the entire nations. So when energy infrastructure is attacked, it sends a powerful message. Your economy is not safe. And this kind of message can ripple across the globe. Now the global reaction after the strike. After the strike, reactions started pouring in. Western nations expressed concern. Regional leaders called for calm. Markets reacted almost immediately. Even the slightest escalation in the Middle East can cause oil prices to rise, investor confidence to drop, airspace restrictions to increase, and behind the scenes, urgent diplomatic talks are already happening. The risk of escalation. This is the biggest fear right now, that one strike leads to another, and then another, until suddenly, multiple countries are directly involved. We've already seen cross-border attacks, military buildups, by rising political tension. History shows us something important. Wars don't always expand all at once. Sometimes they spread slowly, step by step, and this could be one of those moments. Iraq in a dangerous position. For Iraq, this is a nightmare scenario, because the country is trying to stay neutral, but its location makes that almost impossible. It sits right between Iran, our US influence, our regional power struggles. So when attacks happen on its soil, it risks being pulled into a war it didn't start. What happens next? Right now, the world is still watching closely. There are signs of our increased surveillance, our military readiness, strategic repositioning, and the next few moves will be critical, because one wrong decision could trigger a much larger conflict. That drone strike in Iraq wasn't just an explosion. It may have been a warning, a signal that this war is no longer contained. And if that's true, what comes next could change everything. Point of no return? Superpowers move as war expands. It's starting to look like something much bigger. Troops are moving, weapons are being deployed, and powerful nations are now watching very closely. The question is no longer, will this escalate? It's how far will it go? Military buildup begins. In the past 48 hours, there have been clear signs of military escalation. We're seeing warships repositioning, fighter jets on high alert, missile defense systems activated. This isn't routine, this is preparation. Because when nations start moving assets like this, they're getting ready for possible confrontation. The superpowers are watching very closely. Now here's where things get even more serious. Major global powers are now involved, even if indirectly. Some are supporting allies behind the scenes, others are calling for restraint, and a few are preparing just in case things go wrong. Because if this conflict expands further, it could pull in countries far beyond the Middle East. And history has shown us, when superpowers get involved, conflicts can spiral fast. The proxy war explosion. We are now entering the most unpredictable phase of this war. Proxy groups are becoming more active. These are armed groups that operate in different countries, have regional influence, often support larger powers. And now they are starting to act. Attacks are becoming more frequent, more coordinated, more widespread. This turns one war into many smaller wars happening at once. The global market's under pressure. While bombs fall in one region, the entire world feels the impact. Right now, oil markets are unstable. Stock markets are reacting. Investors are becoming cautious. Even countries far away are affected. Because in today's world, war in one region can shake the global economy overnight. The fear of a breaking point. There is something experts are quietly warning about. A breaking point. A moment where one major event changes everything. It could be a direct strike on a major power, a large-scale civilian impact, or a mistake that triggers retaliation. And if that moment happens, escalation could become unstoppable. The diplomacy vs destruction. Behind the scenes, there is a race against time. Diplomats are working to reduce tensions, open communication channels, prevent further attacks. But at the same time, military actions are continuing. So we now have two forces moving in opposite directions. Diplomacy, destruction, the outcome depends on which one wins. Right now, the world is standing on edge. This conflict has already crossed borders. It has already pulled in multiple players. And if it goes any further, we may be looking at something far bigger than anyone expected. The next move could define everything. Like, subscribe to Legal TV, stay locked in. Because this story is far from over.